Today, I'm talking about how I made the switch from my Android to an iPhone and how this is actually very similar to the sleep coaching process and any change that you're ready to make in your life. In our most sleep deprived moments, our children will teach us exactly what we need in order to learn and grow into who we were created to be. These are the loving lessons we will learn whether we were wanting to or not. I'm Irene Googe, your sleep coach, and I'm on mission to educate parents on how to help their young children sleep. Welcome to the journey. I couldn't help but make the connection of recognizing when I'm moving from one system of a phone, like an Android, where I'm really comfortable. I know how things work. And now I'm moving to an iPhone, learning new systems, even though I have a MacBook and I hear it's going to make my work easier, it is still a big change. And I want to share 4 takeaways that I have learned as I've been going through this process. So when it comes to making a change, like maybe changing from one phone system to another, or maybe deciding to sleep coach or whatever is happening in your life, the first thing that I'm recognizing is that we have to make a decision. Oftentimes not making a decision keeps us stuck and keeps us going nowhere. And part of that is because we can get really comfortable. We can get really comfortable in our habits and our patterns and just stay in that comfortable space. But the thing that's important to know is that we're always learning and growing. There's new, better, and healthier ways sometimes to help us make that change. And like in sleep coaching, that change happens little by little as we are teaching our little ones that skill. The second thing I'm learning is that there's always a need to create plan. Yes, plan of action is going to be helpful when you're making a change. So for me, it has been figuring out the transitions of the Android systems, where my apps are, how they function, where they're even located, how they work on the phone, to moving over to the iPhone, which I think it's going to work really well. But I'm giving myself time with this transition because one of the things that I realized is that there is a process that unfolds in the learning. And sometimes making space and creating a plan helps me make better action steps along the way. And, that's so true with our little ones. I think about all the transitions we go through as human beings, as children go through. They were in the womb and now they are birthed. Maybe they were swaddled and now we're putting them in a sleep sack. Maybe they were just lying on their back and now they're rolling and then trying to push up and crawl and walk and talk. Maybe they're going through a transition where they're learning how to get themselves dressed. So I think about all these transitions like going from one phone system to another. Sometimes they take time and we need to provide space and an opportunity for that learning to unfold. And so by creating a plan of action, it has helped me actually not feel so stressed and overwhelmed, and to also know where I'm going as I'm making this change. Oftentimes we want a quick fix, especially when it comes to sleep. We want our little ones to get that sleep right away. I actually really want to be using just this phone and I want to let this one go, but I haven't quite finished making that transition. And because I've given myself 2 weeks to work through this, it has taken off the stress. It has allowed me the time and space for this season of my life, dealing with home, work, being available to my boys, being able to have balance as I'm making changes. The other thing too that I'm realizing is that when I make these changes little by little, they are becoming new habits and patterns that will be more sustainable, especially as I'm learning something new. By making a decision and creating a plan, so far it's making the transition easier instead of feeling overwhelmed and stressed out. The third thing that I'm learning is that I needed to take action. I needed to be able to actually implement and commit to daily things that I was going to do to move from one system to the other. And it's really providing an opportunity to practice. One of the things that sometimes we don't do as adults is we don't provide space for practicing and for us to have a learning curve as we're going through things. As you're taking action, making change, whether it be in your sleep coaching plan or anything else that you're doing in your life, sometimes we don't realize during those action steps, we might have some big emotions that come up. And that could look like grief. And while I know that this phone is not serving me well, it did serve me well. It functioned and worked well in that season of life. But there is a loss that takes place. One of the things I've learned for sure about life is that we don't learn to grieve well. And so learning to grieve these little things along the way and teaching our little ones that too, because there's change. We have to let go of something to bring something in. And so oftentimes we forget that in the big picture. And if you're like me, comment down below and say, me too, I don't like change. And I would say most of us usually don't like change. But one of the things that sometimes happens is there's some big emotions that come up in the process. So by having a plan of action, feeling forced to have to rush through things, it's providing an opportunity for learning and growing to take place. And I'm actually able to set things up in a way that works for me. And the same thing is true with the sleep coaching process. Allowing our children to gain the footing they need as they're learning maybe the new routines, the new ways we're communicating with one another can really make a huge difference in our sleep outcomes. And the last thing that I'm learning is I'm celebrating. I'm celebrating the fact that I've made a decision. I've created a plan. I'm in the midst of that plan as I'm taking action. And I'm celebrating the wins along the way. I'm looking at the progress and not the perfection in it. You know, oftentimes whenever we are making a plan for change, we forget about the baby steps along the way and that those are wins that will take us even further. And this is actually going to create lifelong changes, which is super exciting. And it's really exciting because it's in this season. This is what's coming next. And what's exciting about this entire process from going from one system to another or sleep coaching or anything else is that you were made to move forward and take action. And learning to get comfortable in the uncomfortable is a skill set. And being able to celebrate that progress along the way, little by little, makes sustainable changes. And it helps us become who we were designed to be along the way. Now, our children will go through so many different transitions, and hopefully we can make some decisions, create a plan, take action, and celebrate along the way when we make those changes. And the same thing is true for me as I go from one phone system to another. And if you are wanting to go from sleepless nights to sleep-filled nights, set up a time on my calendar and we'll connect. Thanks for tuning into today's show. You can see all of the details and show notes below. And as you go out into your day, I hope that you'll make it your mission to be calm, confident, and rested as you lead today. Sweet dreams.